Just like that, we find ourselves on another Thursday afternoon. Paul, how are you?
I'm very well.
Okay.
Yeah, great. It's the sun is, I think, starting to shine. Did you cop a bit of the tail of Cyclone Alfred last week?
Certainly did. We got flooded in 3 days of us being cut off.
Yeah, right.
So yep, we got
You
a
really did.
stab at it. Yep. And you?
No, we were good down here in the
And
Hunter
you and
Valley. It was we were very fortunate. We didn't get overly affected, so which is great.
sounds all
Yeah.
right.
So I'm hope those floods have receded and you're able to get back to normal.
We're kind of back to normal. We're there. We're kind of used to it though. We're in a flood zone, so we get 4 a year. It wasn't anything
Yeah.
too unusual for us, but here we are. Anyway, hopefully everybody else out there is surviving okay after Alfred and everything's settled down and everyone's back on board. Just on that, then, welcome everybody to the Recruitment Insider with Paul Callinan, who is a general manager and recruitment expert with over 20 years of experience helping businesses find the perfect fit. Today, we're going to dive into how family businesses can attract top talent in 25 and just look at some strategies around what that looks like. Paul's going to share his insights and help us navigate these challenges. Paul, as a family business, first off, what does that kind of look like? That can be as big or small as it looks, but how can a family business attract top talent in 2025? Let's have a look.
Well, I guess the
What's your thoughts?
first part of it is that it can be a challenge in parts. So, and it certainly feels like a challenge. As a family-based business, you feel at times that it is difficult. We certainly feel at times it's difficult to compete with large corporates. And I know for many of our clients, they feel exactly the same way. Is that feeling true when it actually comes down to it? It can be, but it doesn't have to be. So I think the key to it is, what's happening in family-based businesses. A lot of them are overworked. They don't feel like they have the time to put into recruitment. And if you don't put time into your recruitment strategies, then you don't get the best available candidates because you're not doing it in a timely manner, as an example. There's other pressures of operational just trying to deliver. So you get these other challenges that become, make it more difficult than it probably needs to be. So one of the other factors that comes in for family-based businesses is often, they don't have that HR support. So, and they don't have the HR support to assist with recruitment, but also retention, because it's one thing to recruit, it's another thing to be able to retain key people in your business. So there's strategies that they can certainly put in place that will help, and solutions they can put in place which will help address most of those issues.
All right, so let's look at that. First off, I've got to ask you, do you think family businesses, and this is just me having a think about it, right, and sort of generalizing, do you think that the systems and processes aren't in place as neatly as they are in the corporate world? Do you think there's an element of that, or is that taken care of?
It can be that the systems and processes aren't in place. That definitely is a factor. Although it can be a strength as well because they can be more fluid, they can be more flexible, they can adapt to what's happening in the market. So that can be a real strength as well because they're not necessarily constrained by a whole range of corporate processes. So that can certainly be
Yeah, right.
advantageous, done in the right way. But if it's just bedlam,
Okay.
then that can work against them.
Okay. So strategies then for how family businesses can attract top talent. What have you got,
Yeah,
Paul?
well, I think focus on the difference. I think that's one of the keys. So acknowledge the fact that you don't necessarily have all those systems and processes, etc., in place. So acknowledge that and get comfortable in that space, and then start to allocate the time and go, all right, how do we work our way through? Sorry, I just need to turn that off. How do they adapt to that situation? How do they get a recruitment strategy in place? How do they execute on their advertising, and how do they manage candidates when they work their way through? So have a think about how you're going to actually do that, and then get good at that part of it. So that's one of the things that you can do. You can also, though, focus on the difference of being a family-based business, because you do have flexibility. You are able to meet the market when you need to in terms of salary or conditions. You also have a completely different persona to a large corporate organization, because people in your business are working as part of that family-based business. So they get direct interaction with decision makers. So that can fundamentally help and change things. That makes decision making so much simpler in a lot of cases. So, you get access to those sort of things. On the fact that, they're spending locally. People like working. I think in a lot of cases, people do like working for family-based businesses because they can see that what they're doing is making a difference. They're often really good or really great at what they actually are delivering. And so you're working with some of the best out there as well. So that can be an advantage. So it's getting into that headspace and looking for the positives out of it, and then finding a way of getting your recruitment underway and moving forward.
I wonder whether it's a positioning of the position. So top talent doesn't necessarily mean highest paid. It could mean, very talented people in a specific niche or a specific space. And I wonder whether the offer that the business can make to the top talent as a family-owned business can be attractive. So it could be you are making a difference. You are, working with a family-based business, local community, those sorts of things that mean something to the talent you're trying to attract. Would that be a strategy?
Absolutely. The fact that it could be less travel, as an example. It could be less meetings. Not everybody loves a meeting.
Yeah.
So, corporate world can get tied up in that type of thing. And in a family-based business, you're able to short circuit some of those. You still have to have them, and you have to have your structures and your policies and procedures, but you can short circuit and have more effective and direct communications. So, which means you can get more done without necessarily, having large meetings and lots of people that you have to consult and all those sort of aspects of it. You also don't necessarily have the travel that sometimes comes with corporate roles. So that can be another positive factor. So it's looking for, it's just picking out all those positives and nurturing that and promoting that as part of the recruitment process.
Okay. So it's totally available to people. Top talent is available to family-based businesses.
Yeah, that's right. They just have to go to the market and ask for it and have a plan on how you're doing it. Say, get a good ad or get a good recruitment partner who will help you to find the best available. So often, when we deal with family-based businesses, they'll come to us and they'll be at that point where they haven't been able to find the right people, and not in crisis, but definitely under pressure. So it's get that advertising right. So when they come to us, it's like, well, what can you do and what's going to be different? Well, one of the things we do is we work our database. So within our database, we have 50,000 candidates. And when we run our figures for 2024, we're running at about 80% of jobs get filled from within that database. So that gives us a massive advantage, and that therefore gives our client, our family-based business client in this case, a massive advantage. So that is a way of really helping them get people on the ground as quickly as possible and finding those best available candidates, because it's the best available in the market at the time for the price or for the rates that they want to pay. So it's marrying all those different factors together.
You talk about this often. If you could just touch on it again, the power of the database, where it's bringing back, as you say, the best available at the time rather than the ones that are looking. And that can be a complete shift in what you receive. So if you're on Seek or places like that, or job boards, let's say, not just Seek, but there's a few out there. So if you're on those job boards, not singling out a particular company, so people are looking for work. Whereas if you're on a database, you got access to a different level of talent. Do you want to just talk to that? Because that's super interesting.
Yeah, well, there's two parts. So one, we obviously have candidates who are looking for work right now, but we also have candidates in there who have applied previously, and therefore we have access to their skills and data, and we're able to approach them and say, hey, we have this wonderful opportunity with this family-based business doing this type of work. Are you interested in having a conversation? And that lets us drag those candidates out, but because we can search on a whole range of skills. So recently we were searching in our database because we needed a particular ticket or qualification, and we're able to search for that qualification and bring up a list of potential candidates, and then just approach them and say, hey, are you guys in the market, or are you looking for something right now? We've got this opportunity available. And so that just gives us access to a pool of candidates immediately, which means that, we can really significantly reduce the time that it takes to source candidates. We get our clients on average in 2024, we were getting our clients to interview in 10 days. So for most organizations, they're still advertising at the 10-day stage.
Yeah.
Whereas we're getting them to that interview point. So we're putting candidates, not only we put candidates in front of them, they're actually interviewing.
Yeah.
So
speed.
Time.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Paul? It's valuable, isn't it? It's one of the most valuable things we have. Is there anything else, Paul, you'd like to add to how a family-run business can attract top talent in 2025? Or you want to summarize?
Yeah, I think we just summarize it up, for our viewers today. And so the key is that you have a plan, you understand what your offer is, and you get that to market, and then you engage with your candidates quickly. That's, I think, how family-based business can be more competitive, because corporates, whilst they have the HR departments and all those types of, support structures in place, they also have a lot of processes they need to run through. And so being a family-based business, you can be more nimble, more reactive, and meet the market and find the best available candidates by adopting strategies like that, or engage with a recruitment partner who'll do it for you.
Okay. On that, then, that's a wrap for today's episode then on the Recruitment Insider. Thanks, Paul. If you've got any questions at all around recruitment, if you're a family-owned business, small business, bigger business, and you'd like to learn a little bit more about how to recruit, by all means, get in contact with Paul. And thank you for sharing your expertise. If you have anything you'd like us to discuss, by all means, reach out if you've got any questions, and we can do that. Otherwise, we'll see you in a couple of weeks next time. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, thanks, guys. All the best. Have a great week.